Well, hello everyone. I'm home. I'm back in Australia. Had a great flight. Already miss America and all of the fun we had there, but it is good to be home. I've had lots of kisses and cuddles from Pepper and Bandit, lots of hugs with Fudgy. He was a bit standoffish at first, but then he flopped himself on my lap and it was massage the cat, and he was happy and purring, and oh, it was so good to be home. He's doing well with his health too. As you know, he has got some kidney issues, so the time is a-ticking on our boy, but he's doing really well. He's holding his own, so that's great news. So, time to show you what we've all got in our adventures. Got a bit of a pile around me, a bit of everything. I can't remember exactly where everything has come from. I can't remember exactly the prices. As you can imagine, I am a little jet lagged, but I actually feel pretty good. So whether it's going to hit me, maybe. That's why I thought as I unpack my suitcases and start the washing machine, Gaz is having a nap. He's absolutely hit a wall, but he did drive from Brisbane back to Burham Heads, which is 4 hours. So that's if you stop for half an hour for, fuel and a break, of course, but we always say just 4 hours. So he's really hit a wall. He's having a nap. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to unpack the bags. I'm going to pull everything out. I really wanted to know if my sampler made it because I wrapped it in one of those quilts, and I was like, oh, please be gentle, aircraft employees. Don't break the glass, because it would have been a shame to have to frame it again. The frame is not the best condition. It's a little bit knocked around, but look, I'm okay with that. I'm going to get some paint out or some boot polish and just touch it up a little and just leave it at that. I just don't want to disturb it. I don't know when it was framed. I don't know if they had difficulty framing it, but it's sitting beautifully. I'm gonna let sleeping dogs lie, as they say. So absolutely stoked that my beautiful sampler came back. I can't believe I found this. Just love it. You've all had some comments on it too, and we're still all very undecided on if it's English or American. There's aspects of a little bit of both here, so I guess, until you bump into an expert one day, we'll never really know. Here comes Fudgy now. He's going to come over and check all of this shenanigans out. So I shall move this to a safe spot out of the way. Hey, Fudge. And I'll get Gaz to put a nail in the wall and hang my picture as soon as we can. All right, let's have a little look. As you know, most of this you may have seen, but we'll just run through it quickly. The quilt, I did splay the quilt out on the bed in the hotel room in Vegas. So you have seen that one, and then this one. Love them. I still am pining over the quilt I saw yesterday in the Orange County district where all those antique shops were in the street. Just loved it, but as a few of you said, it was pretty expensive. I just felt deep down, don't do it. You don't need it, but I'm still thinking about it. Anyway, I think this is just gorgeous myself. I'm really happy that I got two beautiful old vintage quilts and a sampler. So very happy with that. My eggs, you've seen my adventures with my eggs. This one was a single, no, that's the set. This one was the two that were sold singly, were they? Oh gosh, I can't remember. They're just adorable. No, this is the set with the little ones. I can't wait to display them at Easter. A real treat. Just love them. It's fun also researching these things when you come across new things that you did not know existed. The baby scales from yesterday's video too. It was interesting to see that a lot of you knew family members that were weighed on scales like that. So that was really sweet. Let me get them all set up. Oh, I wished I had have got those big ones too. Been thinking about them a bit, but enough's enough. That little piece has broken off. Hey, Fudgy. But I believe I can reattach that. I have to very carefully take stickers off and hope nothing gets damaged. There we go. My Easter eggs. Oh, I love them. It was like the last thing I thought that I would be coming home with, guys. Like, seriously, just, yeah. I wish I knew where the one of Grandma's got to, and I reckon it was this size. I remember seeing it in her cupboard. And then these little guys, I did see these actually in a few other locations, so they're not old. That someone's produced these from like a giftware wholesaler, and the little shop that had them obviously purchased them and had them out hanging on like a branch for Easter. I just love them. They're going to go towards my Easter project, which I'll just pop them over there just to when I start sewing again. Can't wait to get sewing again. So I'm going to move the eggs. That's the eggs. This little guy, he's the odd one out, but it was just too beautiful to leave. Like it very, I don't know, Victorian, but I don't know if it's Victorian. I've got to do some more research, guys. Now that I've got stable internet and I'm not Wi-Fiing with hotels, and I'll be able to do, you know, a bit more research. My bangles have all come out. I did really well, considering that I had, I think, 3 or 4 prior that all got stolen. So I picked up some new brass bangles. Really, really happy with them. One is silver, this one here, but I love the colour, but it is silver inside. This is not old. These are all from the 70s. That I don't think is. I think that's fairly current, maybe from India or Indonesia. They do a lot of jewellery in the brass. I've been Googling brass, copper jewellery too, just to know how to clean them and things like that. The only thing I wished I had found was a turquoise colour and a red. If I come across those in my travels, I'd pretty much have what I wear in a colour range. So very happy with my bangles. There's my little brass mouse. There was quite a few little brass animals, but I came home with the little mouse. Okay, where do I start? Let's start with Australia. Before we hopped on the plane, while we were waiting and killing a bit of time, we ended up going shopping down at the Logan Hyperdome. There you go, Brisbane girls, you know where I am. Down there is a Lifeline and a Salvo. Oh, no, it's not a Lifeline. Salvation Army, and it's the Pet Adoption RSPCA. They've always got a couple kittens in there to be adopted, or mature cats. So we went hunting, and I found, I'll come back to him, I found some bits and pieces that I picked up before I left. So these were actually on the back seat of the car when we got back to our friend's house to get our car. Hang on, guys, I'm just getting some scissors. Let's be productive as we go and snip some tags off, because another reason why I've done this video today so soon after arriving is I just want to start washing things. I really want to get in and get things clean. So just for a price comparison, set of 2 for $1. No, go all that way and look at things that were $9 US, and you know, right in your backyard sometimes you find some good buys. So that was 3, 4 of them for $2. Now let's be honest, when I was living in Brisbane, I used to go to that shop pretty regularly, at least once a fortnight, and often I wouldn't find this. So this seriously was a bit of a fluke. I don't know whether the world was telling me you don't need to go far to find a good deal. They're cuties. This was a good piece to pick up, $1. I have seen them as high as $4, so, you know, as we all say, it can be very hit and miss. And I know I was shopping in antique malls, so I'm going to pay a premium. And many of you said, get out to Goodwills and those type of places. I would love to have done that, but when you're traveling everywhere with a taxi or an Uber, you sort of try and hit an area where you're sort of a little bit central and then you can walk it. So if I had my own car and my own wheels, I would have gone Goodwill shopping. I did get to 2. They happened to be in an area where we were heading for dinner, and I didn't find anything. Nothing like our world. Lots of clothes, but yeah, definitely nothing. Look at that. That's pretty good. What was that one I just threw away? I think that was... lost the tag. It wasn't much. And then this here is a little tablecloth. $2. And it's got little daisies all over it. Just very pretty. Very pretty. So I'll be able to get all of this into the laundry now. Mind you, I have so much clothes to wash. Well, not so much me. That Gaz, if he'd taken less clothes, I could have fit more things in. All I'm saying, I was pretty lean, but I was washing, you know, every 4 days. Sometimes I just do a wash every day just to stay, you know, on top of it. And it really paid off because I was able to get some, you know, bigger pieces in. This little guy, he was here surprising me when I got home. I'd forgotten that I'd ordered this before I left. This little fellow is from Japan. I don't know if you guys recognize him. I've been looking for ages for these, and they usually are very, very expensive. But this little guy popped up on eBay, and he was $20 or $22. I've seen them as high as $75. And what he is, if I'm thinking, why has she bought that? Look at his tail. It's a tape measure. Isn't that just adorable? Some of them are pretty ugly. Like, it depends on your fabric. Yeah. As soon as I saw him, I'm sure this was like a day before I left. I've got a couple things put in search engines and up he popped. I'm like, oh, little doggy, you are going to be with me. So there's my little Japanese tape measure doggy. Isn't he cute? You're probably thinking he is the ugliest little dog, but I think he's adorable. All right, next thing, let's grab this pile of goodies here. So these 3 little bags were the last day in one of the antique stores in Orange County. And I haven't had a chance to see what actually I got. So I got some very old tulle, and that was like $1 US. So I thought, you know, it's worth the risk of what do you actually have. Oh, okay, so this is a ruffled piece of old tulle. There's a bit of a smell about them. They smell old. A collar. Gosh, look how delicate it is. And then the only reason I picked this up is purely because of Easter. That is the only reason. And I probably, if I hunted enough in my room, I would have some of these colours. But I thought, does that not, look at that tiny one there. Does that not sing Easter? So I grabbed that. This is a braid. I thought was a pretty colour. Got to start using some of these braids. I pick them up every so often and I don't really use them. So I've got to come up with some trimmings of them. This looked interesting. All of this was $1 American, I think. But don't quote me. If we go back to those videos, we'll soon see if I'm speaking the truth. There's a nice little, very old, an old trim. It's not hanging properly because it's maybe heat affected or just been in someone's cupboard, but that's okay for texture and foliage and oh goodness knows what with slow stitch. You know how it is. It's amazing what we do use. There's my little outfits. They all need a good wash as well. Ready for my Easter project. There's my beaded bag. Oh, I just love it. It's probably not old. It's probably fairly recent, but I don't know. I just thought it was gorgeous. There we go. No money in there. I have checked once. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Just beautiful. I love the colours. I love her. I love her. All right, I'll put that over there. Here's the next pile. This was the bag in the last video. You know, the bag of stuff for like $18 US, I think it was. I've pulled the bag, but I haven't looked at the pieces. So this is like a stitched, someone has stitched maybe a hanky to create maybe a feature for a blouse. Don't know. It's got me intrigued. Collars. Aren't they great? Love them. Just love them. Some old lace, which is also another collar. I wonder if the lady of the booth just had this pile of crescent-shaped pieces and thought, oh, they'll take forever to sell, so put them in that bundle deal. Along comes an Aussie chick who says, oh, I'll take that. Oh, aren't you a pretty collar? Around the back of the neck, over the shoulder, down to the front. That's a pretty one. That was a piece of crocheting from that booth, but it had no price on it, and he ended up giving it to me. He was a bit of a grump, actually, the fellow on the counter. I don't know if there seemed to be something going on in the store, whether they had a thief, but he was hollowing or yelling for his staff, and no one could be found because they may have been busy with, you know, customers. And he seemed to want them to go somewhere and check something, and he was getting quite aggravated. So it took him a bit to actually look at me and serve me. You know, when you stand at a counter and no one's paying you any attention, but you're literally 30 centimetres away from them or a foot away from them, but they still don't acknowledge you? That's what it was like. He was, yeah, quite wound up on something. Look at these. I wonder what they're from. A trimming for a shelf, maybe when they line shelves with fabric, whether that's an edge. Looks like I've got a couple of them. Maybe they do go and close. Oh, this one's even bigger. Okay, oh, okay. It's a collar from something. Does anyone recognize it? So we've got quite a large one and then two smaller ones as a set. This one's got the piece of silk still attached, all hand stitched or tacked into that yoke. Maybe that was I don't know. It's fun thinking about what things could have been. So that was that grab bag for $18. I think that's okay. I think that's a pretty good buy. So to the wash you go, and same place, remember the doily? I want to use this in my Easter clothesline bunting / goodness knows what else will end up on it project. Not sure when I'll get to film that. I'm pretty confident I'll want to get back into the sewing seat, the sewing chair as soon as I can. There we go. So that's good. It just needs a wash. This is the tea towel I picked up from that antique store as well. It's just a booth that obviously is trying to make a few extra dollars, so had some Easter products in there. I think those timber, these things here, is sort of part of that scenario that they buy in new to make those few extra dollars. This is going to be a handy little piece. Beautiful. Look at them all. Look at yous, little cuties. Like, it's nearly everyone's different. Oh, there's a few repeats. Where are they from? The farmhouse. So I guess if you're in America and this has caught your eye, you could probably Google search the farmhouse as a brand tea towel. Made in India, 100% cotton. And you might come up with, you know, somewhere where you might be able to buy them. Very, very cute. I might even Google it myself and see if there's others in the range and whether they're in Australia, because you never know. Okay, so on the vein of new fabrics, remember I picked up this piece of quilt. French General, for those of you who've been waiting with bated breath for French General, it wasn't open. Every time I was in LA, it just was closed through the week. When I researched it 6 months ago, it was open 7 days a week, 6 days a week, closed on Sundays or Mondays, something like that. So when we were in the car to go, and kindly Trish was with me and Carlos had taken us for that day of shopping, we drove there and it was closed. And then when we did the Google, it was closed. And one day only, Saturday, and they were the days I just wasn't in town. So unfortunately, we couldn't go to French General. Now, I do follow them on Instagram, and they are at the moment over in France doing retreats and stitching things, and they're at quilt shows. So I'm suspecting they're on the road, and you just can't be everywhere doing everything. So I'm guessing that the store reduces its trading hours, but I don't know. Not sure what happened there, because I'm positive they were open, because I was sure I was going. So I do apologise for those who are like waiting for a look in the French General store. So piece of fabric that is new. And then remember this one? Was I in Hobby Lobby or Joann's? I can't remember now. It was only a couple weeks ago. I'm sure you guys remember. Actually, I think I saw it at both locations. Yes, I went to Hobby Lobby first, and then I went to the Joann's in Dallas that was closing down, and I found the same fabric, but it had a different coloured background. It wasn't as blue. So, yeah, and even some of you have actually gone and got yourself a piece of this because you were impressed with the size of the birds and the style of it. Very, very happy with that. That's in my pre-printed with an image that might be useful one day drawer. Does that make sense? Bunnies and those birds. And these napkins, or this table runner, falls into that sort of category. Just a great print. Who knows what I'll ever use it for, but it's a nice piece of fabric. So that'll go into I might use it as a base to do a floral stitched piece. Yeah, there's the company that I was at. That was in the shopping centre at Dallas. That was 2 in the pack. The lemons, I don't know why I had lemons on the brain. I think it's because the girls had just released the next prompt for our Roxy Journal of Stitchery. So I just had lemons in my head. And then lo and behold, Sarah did her orange, a slice of an orange. So it was just fruit floating around at the time. This has gorgeous bees on it as well. So once again, it goes into the random printed fabrics for who knows what project, whenever. This one here was a runner. Who was that from? I know you're probably yelling at the screen, but I can't remember. I thought it might be printed. Pottery Barn. Now, some of the Aussie girls said that they are in Australia. I did not realise that. They're not in Brisbane. I have not bumped into a Pottery Barn before. So that was a good buy. This I got it for $7. It was in their reduced section. Why did I buy it? Texture. I love the texture. It's 100% cotton. It could be something I stitch into. It could be something I cut up. Who knows? It's just in my drawer of textures that are neutral. There you go. Now you're starting to hear the way I store my fabrics and my treasures. This piece here, this was a Pottery Barn as well. Remember, it's a cushion cover. I looked at quite a few and I ended up going this one. They have scanned an old quilt, printed it on fabric, and then they've actually stitched in here. Now, this went into my suitcase, and I thought one day randomly was sitting in the hotel that I'd get it out and start quilting it. And I pulled it back out only to realise that they had actually quilted it already. I thought there was just a few random lines and everything else was like fake. They'd scanned and printed it, but they've actually quilted it. So I was like, oh, I was going to do that, but it is already done. So this is just waiting to be a project. I'm going to keep it as a cushion at the moment. Who knows, maybe the Roxy girls might have a project in the next 6 months or 12 months or 18 months that is something that could go onto a base that is a cushion. I don't know. Maybe I can come up with something that can be stitched onto it. But yeah, that's just going to go into my neutral bases cupboard for project one day. Now, what else have we got here? Okay, more. No, this is Trisha and I when we went to the recycle place. You know, everything's reduced and you rummage through, a bit like Sewing Lair and Sewing Basket, those types of places. So I actually had forgotten about this when I was unpacking the suitcase. I'm thinking, where's all these threads come from? Look, that was really good. These things are getting expensive and I use them a lot. So it was really cool to pick up some threads reasonably priced. Can't remember the price, but they will be super, super handy. This was a piece of linen, $2 I picked up with a crocheted edge. It sort of feels like it's a hand towel. So that I thought was not a bad table runner. And it's got a, is it a J? Crudely stitched into it. Another great piece and a few holes for a random project one day that maybe I attach to it things. I don't know. I'm going to assume it's old by the fact that that's got this monogram, but who knows. So that needs to go and get washed. And these were all the laces I picked up. Now some were in the fashion district. There's a little receipt. We won't look at receipts because that means it's money spent. We won't look at receipts. Now, some of this is new from Trims. Others is like this, $5.59 vintage lace edging. This would be an antique store, maybe. I don't know. Does it matter? Not really. Both the same. It's raining here. They've had so much rain while we've been away. It has rained and rained and rained. There's been so much flooding in Queensland, and even coming back along the Bruce Highway, we could just see where the torrents of water had run. So let's have a look at this little piece. An old piece of cotton trim. You're pretty. I don't think you're real old. That's just been removed from some clothing, like a little blouse. That's pretty, but it actually smells nice. So some of this is laundered, but we'll just wash the lot. Some trim that goes with that. Here's another one, $5.59. I don't know, what do you guys think? How did I go? Did I perform well in my shopping? See, that's not old, but handy, really handy. That'll be handy for the retreat. The girls, I don't have a lot of little laces to go on the little houses, so I've mentioned to the girls, you know, bring little laces like this to put on your little houses for the box, our project for our stitching retreat in July. There's only a couple tickets left at each location too, so if you were considering it, grab your tickets. I'm even thinking of actually closing it off now because I've got quite a large group at both and enough, you know, I don't want it to be too big, but I'll leave them for another 3 weeks. And if anyone is considering joining me, there'll be a link below for a ticket to my 4-day retreat and at Newcastle at Beck's stores, so big, 3 days. Gosh, it's all downloading back into my head. I'd sort of put all my work out of my head, but this has reminded me. So if you are coming, girls, Bring little trims. Remember, the little houses are going on the side of the box, and you'll need guttering and around doors and windows. So I'll have a little bit there, but not a lot. Like, I've got all this big stuff. So, yeah. Anyway, got sidetracked. Look. Beautiful. All from that Sewing Refuge recycling place. We did well there, didn't we, Trish? Trish is coming to my retreats. Oh, she's such a cool chick. I met Trish at Ballarat at a retreat, and I then got a gorgeous offer for her to take me for the day and car us around Los Angeles and explore the fashion district, fabrics and French General, but that didn't happen. Boo-hoo. And then by the time we hung out today, we were on the back seat of the car. We giggled like giggling birdies the whole time. Oh, my goodness. Like, seriously? It was hilarious. So then she sends me an email and she's like, I've just booked a ticket. I'm coming. So Trish is coming to Hervey Bay. So the Ballarat gang that are coming to Hervey Bay, Trish is coming. Unfortunately, Carlos can't make it. He's got prior engagements. But Trish is coming. So, and for those of you who haven't met my American friend Trish, you'll love her. She's just a gem, absolute gem. All right, back to what we were doing. More collars. Like, I've never seen so many collars. There were a lot in Paris, I must say. But I only picked up a few over there because they were super expensive. They were euro off, yeah, big euro. So that's not bad. They're so pretty. Oh. Makes me want to stitch, guys. What are we going to stitch? I've got to finish my Just Because quilt. I think there's probably 2 more episodes in that. It sort of got shelved as I shot out the door on my adventure. That's a nice lace too. So I think for the overall, the things I probably paid too much for, there were things that I did really well on. So I guess if you average it out, I think I did pretty good. Oh, what do you guys think? That's the American viewers. So far, you've given me a lot of thumbs up, as in, yep, that's good, that's not too bad. And then things that I left behind, a lot have said, you know, that is too much. You would get that at a better price if you went to a different area or a different district, you know. Admittedly, like I said just before, I was in antique vintage malls. You know, they're priced as on sellers. They have booths, they pay rent or a percentage to you know, the owner of the establishment. So yeah, maybe if I'd got out to estate sales and places like that, I would have found more. But you need a car. I'd need a truck. Oh, could you imagine if you could do, you know, months of just cruising around America? Oh, we had a ball, guys. Oh, I was a bit on it, but I think it's because my head was so messed up from my last 6 months that I was like, oh, I just don't need to be doing this now. I guess want to sit at home and wallow. But it was fantastic. We're absolutely thrilled with the hospitality of America. We felt very at home. We felt safe. We felt like we'd made a lot of friends very quickly. It was lovely to see that the American people think that the Aussies are pretty cool. We found hospitality, you know, everywhere. I've found a different response in different countries. I won't mention those countries because I don't want to, you know, point the finger, but there's definitely countries we go to and they're like, you know, barely give you the time of day. But as soon as they heard us speak, everywhere, every restaurant, every Uber driver was like, where are you from? Or are you Aussies? And it was on. It was just, they were so generous. They were, you know, taking us places like, hop in, we'll drive you down the road. You know, it was, yeah, LA, huge, just full on city. I don't think that city sleeps. Loved Universal Studios, probably more of an adult theme there, more so than Disney, but still, once you see it, tick it off the bucket list. Love Dallas. That place is just huge. Everything's big. Just walking through the car park to get to a shopping centre. is kilometres. Getting into the shopping centre, even though it wasn't a big one, it was just still miles to walk. And then across the road to Joanne's. It's just big, but loved it. Everyone was so friendly. Oh, yeah. Had a ball, guys. I think it's exactly what I needed, just to have a bit of a change of scenery. Yeah, get out of, you know, your everyday stuff. Another little trim. This is the fashion district of LA. Was surprised too how many of you didn't know it existed that live in LA. So there you go. This Aussie chick, she did good. We did good. Even Trish was like, she knew of it. I hope I'm being quoted right. Trish knew of the district but hadn't been there and was pleasantly surprised at, you know, what she found. Little crocheted trim. Very Easter. Another little one. I could have gone bananas in these trim shops. But you know, you just can't. I try to pick things that were a little bit different for me, just a bit random. So if I do a really bright project, I don't have a lot of these sorts of colours. So that was sort of my theory when making my selections. Little random shops we found and little trims. I think I was channeling Kate a little bit here. Kate's Dingle Dangles. I thought, you know, I still haven't made a nice pouch that is a bit of a salute to Kate. Congratulations to Kate, your quilt going into the Australasian quilt show. Congratulations, very exciting. It's lovely to see things from our community go into those spaces, because there's very traditional quilting, that environment. So having a bit of creative slow stitch collage going into that world is a little bit exciting. All right, I think that is now, that's not needing a wash. This is. So let me just move them to the side of me. Now, where are we? Fashion district still. Let's have a look at some of the fabrics. Some of these fabrics we went Harvey's on, Trish and I. Look, isn't it just gorgeous? But we did notice that once we saw them once, we started to see them elsewhere, just in different colorways. So I don't know if a lot of those shops are owned by the same fabric house. I don't know. We couldn't quite work it out, but we were like, hang on a minute, we just saw that. This is some wedding lace. We found the remnant bins in a lot of the shops. If you've watched the videos, you'll know what I'm talking about. But if we couldn't see a piece that we loved, I'm going to try and dye some of these. Dawn Meldrum, her channel, she's just put up a second video of dyeing laces using, Dawn's yelling at me now. Can't hear you, Dawn. Yell a little louder. Nah, it's gone. I'll link the video below. I haven't watched it myself. I saw it flash up, and she works with some wedding laces and dyeing them. So I've got to watch that tonight. This is another one that was in a remnant. How pretty is that? These are so handy to have. What got me started on wedding laces is I bought some online from a Melbourne company, and I'm surprised at how often I actually do use them. So I'm not afraid to pick up these types of textiles. This was another little remnant. Look at those roses. You just never know where you can use those. So what else have we got? Oh, there's another bit of it. We've got two of them here. Trish, did you not get yours? Why have I got two? Oh, was this? I don't know. I have to check with her on that. Okay, now we're getting into, you buy the minimum cut of, look at those. Aren't they just gorgeous? It's like wildflowers. So pretty. I don't know what I'm going to use it for, but it's just pretty. It's just pretty. Now I've got a big piece of fabric everywhere here. I've got to fold it up. Hang on. Hold your horses. Just trying to get a bit of law and order here. There we go. Next Next is a remnant of black one. I think this is one that Trish bought the big piece and then chopped me off a bit. Oh, love them. Some brights. This might not be to everyone's cup of tea, but I do find that I drift between all sorts of mediums when it comes to my collaging. Another little one full of little flowers. That's why Dawn's video is going to be interesting, because if it's not the right colour, you could colour them to suit. So, it's going to be a bit of fun to watch the video, I think. This is another one. Look at them. Ready to go. All these motifs. They're on net. Sometimes in the net, sometimes just lightly stitched onto the net. Right, they'll be so easy to applique onto whatever. There's all sorts there. The possibilities. I think Trish has actually been playing with them too. Did I see a photo pop up on our Facebook group, Stitched Vintage Treasures? And Trish said that she was already working on a piece using some of these elements, and this is the other one. So lots of different colour waves in amongst the fabrics, from pastels through to something a little bit warmer. I think that's it. So they were the fabrics I picked up in that fashion fabric district. Okay. Yep, I think that's it. All right, what else is left to show you? I think we're coming to the end of it. I brought in my t-shirts. When you go to America, you've got to buy some souvenirs. So I'm going to show you my souvenirs. Vegas, a key ring with all of the classic Vegas paraphernalia, like what's that, a token? Oh, $1 million. There you go, won $1 million at the roulette wheel. Number plate, the classic sign, and the letter C. That one's for me. There's Green Frog. Right, he's made it back, the alien sitting on Gaz's pile of bits and bobs. This one was in Disney, little Mickey Mouse. I really like the pewter key rings. These are going to be gifts for some of my mates. So I've just got to decide which one I want to keep. I've got Donald Duck, Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse, Goofy. Silly boy, that Goofy. I've got a pin. Now, when I went to France, I had an Australian flag pin. That one broke, like good quality Australia. This is the one I bought at the Eiffel Tower, and they were on my backpack. So I took it off my backpack before it broke, because it's probably a little bit rough to be sitting on a backpack. I see a lot of people wearing them around their neck pins and things. So I've got myself my Paris one, French, and then I saw Mickey with the stars and stripes. So I've just got to work out what to do with them. I don't think they can travel with me on a backpack. I think that's probably not a good idea. So I just got myself some t-shirts. We've got a Minnie Mouse. I think I'm going to use this as a gift. It's like a shirt you would sleep in, nice lightweight. I think that one's going to be a gift to a friend. This was funny. I bought this at Universal Studios and I wore it the first day into Disney, and the security guard, as you go through scanning all your bags looking for contraband, the guy goes, "You're in the wrong park." And I was like, what? And then I realised that I had the Warner Brothers Universal Studios t-shirt on, so it was a bit cheeky, wasn't it? Trotting around. I think Gaz had something on too that was Warner, not Disney. Got myself a Mickey Mouse. I wear a lot of t-shirts. I'm a jeans and t-shirt girl, so I'm always picking up t-shirts. I'm always getting holes in t-shirts. You can thank Bandit for that. His big paws. Dr. Pepper. I wore this one through the whole week. It was great because I could rinse it out. It's very lightweight. and it dried, overnight. And so many people commented on it. And one lady in Texas, she said, "Oh, that's Dr. Pepper comes from Texas." So there you go. But this one was celebrating our day trip to Santa Monica Pier, and we went to Bubba Gump's restaurant for lunch, sitting there looking at everyone walking along the pier. And this one is Universal Studios. So I think that's it, guys. You've seen all my treasures. Thank you for joining me on my adventures. We had an absolute ball. Can't wait to go back. I think if we go back, we will head towards Washington, over that side, and have a look at the cities on the other side of the continent. But we will definitely go back to Vegas. Probably only need 3 days there now. Now that I've got a lay of the land, I think 3 days would be enough. So glad we did the week. We could have done an easy another week there. It's just so much to see, and it's just, yeah, it was a lot of fun. Absolutely a lot of fun. I think that's it. All right, guys, thanks again for joining me on my travels, and I'm off to the washing machine. And yeah, actually, I haven't shown you my Easter stuff so far. Hang on. Hold the phone. I have one pile left here. As I said, I will come back later in the week and focus my attention on the actual task of working with my Easter fabrics and creating some bits and bobs. So that's my little dangly things. Here's my Easter eggs. So I'll give you a quick little look. So just when we were sitting there in the hotel room, I just pick up a needle and thread and do a little bit of stitching. I had some wadding with me. I had a combination of threads and some ribbons, so I did some little ruched roses. I was channeling my Jennifer Clouston and did some ruched roses, lots of little French knots around those Easter eggs that the bunnies are on. Put a couple little scrappy bits of fabric. I had some lace with me just to trim them. Did an overcast stitch around the outer edge. I'll show you the next one. So I did 2 Easter eggs. Rachel did 3-dimensional ones, and I've done just flat ones. Mine are going to hang as part of my bunting. So this little guy, I did some little ribbon flowers there. There was a slight branch up here, I think, from memory, and I just went to town. And yeah, there was some form of foliage here. I just went to town and did lots of little stitches in the pink and the green, and then came back with my ribbon and did some ribbon work. Little bit of the fabric and lace attached again, just to add some little details, lace across the bottom. So yeah, and they were just freehand drawn, started stitching, and then when I cut them out, I just folded them in half just to make sure that at least they got that egg shape. This piece here, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it yet, but I'll bring it up to the camera. See all the little stitches along the bottom around the base of the wheel? That's ribbons and French knots, grub roses. I did stitch into his trousers a little bit there and there on both bunnies, but I didn't have this colour with me, this violet, and I really wanted to do ribbon embroidery into all of those flowers, but I didn't have the right purple with me, so I've just left it at that. There you can see where my work was. Not sure what I'll do with that yet. I've got to have a think about it. Here's the chickens, another one that I'm not sure. Maybe I'll leave them as just pieces like this and just collage more around, or they'll go on to some completely different project. I don't know. I don't know. I had a vision in the plane at 2 a.m. when I couldn't see. I don't know what time it was, to be honest. Is a bowl that would hold all of these as well that can bring out at Easter, but I don't know. It was just one of those fleeting ideas, a nice long rectangular-ish shape bowl that the eggs could be lined up in, and then these pieces could go around that to collage into a fabric bowl, but I don't know. I need to have some sleep and stop thinking about ideas. This little chicks, I stitched into the chicks. You can see there's stitches there. There's foliage around the fence posts. I outlined the fence posts in like a mushroomy grey thread. And then on the umbrella, can you see all the weaving? I did some weaving across the tops, the 3 segments of the little umbrella. But like I said, I don't know what I'm going to do with those pieces. This little piece here was my next thing to stitch, but I ran out of this wadding. I tried to join some bits together, but it wasn't enough, and I thought, no, just leave it. But I want to stitch this and maybe use it as a band on an egg, like, you know, it's across the front of the egg, and then have lace and more neutral and just leave that as the feature. So I'm thinking that'll be my 3rd egg. What else have we got here? This here, I don't know, probably just stitched, but nothing comes to mind yet for these scraps that are left from cutting into the fabric. They're just in the pile. I didn't cut into this one. That was the 3rd one. There are more pieces that I have, so I didn't have those sorts of colours with me, so I was like, and I didn't have the wadding. And once I'd started using that wadding, I sort of wanted to keep the whole project like that. I took with me some calico and I did invisible stitch it onto the back of something. I think it was the chickens, and I pulled it off because it just didn't feel the same in my hand. I wanted that thickness. So yeah, that I sort of came to the end of what I could do. That was the last bit of wadding I had, that there. I just couldn't quite get it to go under that flower. You see what I mean? I would have had to cut and join, and I don't know. I lost interest, to be honest. I was like, no, just wait till you get home. So I got a few. That there was also at one point going to be stitched, and I thought, oh, I could get that on there. But then when I went looking for my threads, I didn't have the blue, and I didn't want to change that colour. I liked the blue because I had picked up this in one of the antique stores. So I wanted to stay within that colour palette. So that's why I didn't really want to go too much further with a few of these scrappy bits. So yeah, that's where I'm at with Easter. It's coming along. This basket too, this little satchel I found down where, when Gary was playing on the arcades, there was like a touristy shop there, and next to a boutique, and she had 50% off everything. So that came down to, I think it was $3 US. And one of my little zipper bags that I had taken, the zip broke in our travels. I bought them ages ago from Amazon, where you get 10 about this size and another 5 this size, and they were cheap as chips, and I'm slowly using them all, and the zipper breaks every time. They were just, yeah, rubbish. So when I saw this, I thought, no, I'm going to buy that, and this became my Easter project pouch carry-all. So there you go. All right, I think that is it. Not sure when I'll be back for my Easter, because as you know, I want to work in my clothes and do a clothesline. There's my little trimmings. Oh, just love the colours. Nice and fresh. And how could you not be inspired by these? Seriously. They're just adorable. What can I make for them to sit in, guys? If you've got any ideas, throw them up. I'm all ears. All right, enough. That's it. 50 minutes of me waffling on. It's great to be home. Had the best time. Can't wait for my next adventures. But at the moment, it's going to be nice to have a few quiet months getting ready for my retreats. All right, guys. See you later. Have a great day. Bye. Yes, it's me again. As I was walking everything to the laundry, all of those laces to wash them, I remembered that I have also unpacked, well, that was another piece of lace, and I unpacked my fruit from our prompt, which I ended up stitching over there in the hotel room. So I'm just going to sit down on the carpet because this is on like an ottoman, this piece. Oh my gosh, there's so much stitching to do. I'd forgotten. Oh my gosh. So one apple. Oh, hang on. Oh gosh, I've got a cramp. Oh, I've got a cramp in the hip. I've got to get up. Oh my goodness, sitting in an aeroplane too long. So apple, little apple. I got the half piece of apple. Don't know where they're going to go. There's the ginger jar. Gosh, it feels like forever. I do have the pear still. He might end up back on my Christmas tree, but the pear is in amongst the elements that will one day find themselves a home on this project. I don't know where. That's for another day. But yeah, they all work. They all suit it. Very good. And then that little piece of collar, I think. I thought maybe I could work that into it. I don't know, under the fruit. I was just walking past the piece. I was like, yeah. Anyway, not today. All right, guys, that's where that is. I really need to pick this piece up. I haven't finished stitching. Gosh. Anyway, another day. I haven't done the bird and the bird. Oh boy. And there's a new prompt out. Probably you've seen the prompt when you're watching this. It'll be Monday for you that you'll see this video. So there you go. There'll be a whole new prompt. All right, guys. Now I'm back. I better get focused. Have a great day. See yous. Bye.